My name is Sherilyn Dorsey, and I am creator and founder of You're More Than Their Mother, and I teach moms and women to reclaim, realign, and rebalance their lives and to go after their dreams. So today we are talking about, I think I named this actually, It All Comes Back to You. And very often, I want to talk about that. And very often you'll hear me say, if you've been following me for a while, you'll hear me say that, a few things, and all of it contributes to this. One, everything is working out in your favor, ultimately. It may not feel like it in the moment, but ultimately, it can all be used for your benefit. So the experience that you had, you can turn it into something that will work out for you. The other thing you'll hear me say very often is to be accountable for your contribution to something. Even if it's something that you didn't necessarily like or that you don't want to repeat, just be accountable for your contribution to it. Because you can't do anything about what other people do, but what you can do is own your part, your contribution to it, and learn from it. That's what I call wisdom, right? So with that being said, with that simple philosophy, it really logically leads to the statement it is that I made, that I entitled this chat that we're having right now, and that's simply that it all comes back to you. When you give the power to other people, meaning when you blame other people, when you feel like it's their fault and all this kind of stuff, you really disempower yourself. You really take the power away from you and you really shrink. You become this victim of a circumstance. And while something may have happened to you that you may not have particularly liked, the feelings that you continue to have about the situation is what will re-victimize you in a situation. And that comes through disempowerment. And that comes through blame, right? And you can't even blame yourself. Even when you are figuring out your contribution to something, you are doing it for the purpose, you are exploring that for the purpose of knowledge and wisdom, not to blame or shame yourself, right? Because you did the best you could for that moment. Even if you knew something different, whatever it is that you thought, the situation that you were in mentally or physically dictated that you reacted that way. So it was the best that you could for that moment. And that's okay. The good news is you're no longer in that moment. The information you need to know going forward is that you're going to have a situation like that come up again. It may not be the exact same situation, but you're going to have a situation come up where you have to make a decision that may be, quote, hard for you, right? Quote, you have to make it in a pinch. You may have to make it, quote, in a pinch, I should say. And habit may have you to make that type of hasty decision again. But because now you understand something differently and you've seen the consequence, you've seen this thing play out, you're ready, prepared, and willing to make a different decision. You give yourself another opportunity, right? And so you have to really look at it like that. When you spend time worrying about other people and what they did and how they did it, and why they did it, when you spend too much time, I'll say, on that, because that information is good to know as well. When you spend too much time on that, again, you're taking away from what it is that you could be learning from something. You're taking away from what it is that you need to do or how it is that you need to be different for your own life, right? For your own life, because the situation may not happen with that person again, right? Or a similar situation may not even happen with that person, but you're going to go on about your life for sure and have other experiences. And what you want to know is how it is that you want to show up differently in the world next time if you want a different outcome. And that is the question that's always being begged of you. And it simply really shows up, at least in my life, like this. What am I here to learn? Why did I help create this situation? What is it that I'm supposed to learn from it? And guess what, you all? Sometimes I learned that, number one, I learned a few things. Let me tell you the one that just came to mind and made me laugh. That I don't need to be around that person anymore. that person no longer needs to be in my life, a part of my life. They're no longer contributing to anything that I consider good in my life, and I'm through with them. And sometimes that's a little bit painful. Sometimes it's a relief. Sometimes it's a little bit scary. And sometimes there's resistance there for me because they could have been in my life for a long time. It could be scary because they've been there so long. I may not really know how to be without them because they've been there for a long time. So I'm just so used to having them out of habit that now I wonder how I'll have to be different now that I no longer have that person as a resource to reciprocate with in whatever way. And sometimes it's a relief saying, man, it's about time I realized this, right? I knew it was something. I always thought it was something that I should consider. Now I know for sure, right? You just run through this gamut of emotions. But the bottom line, the only way you'll ever get to that is if you ask yourself, what is it that this came to teach me? Why am I having this experience? What did this come to teach me? Right? And so again, that road leads back to you. Now let me say this, moms, as it relates to our children, the same thing is happening with our children. Even when we are having moments of, oh my God, they are getting on my nerves, be it a toddler, be it a teenager, the same experience is true. What am I here to learn? Hey, Kelly, there is one of my favorite viewer friends. Hey. The question is always, what am I here to learn? So let's talk about it with a teenager, because I have a teenager now, and Kelly, I know you have a teenager, so this may serve you well as well. I know that sometimes with my teenager, I can feel resistance, right? By and large, they're amazing. They're amazing kids, but like everybody else, I feel like sometimes they get on my nerves, right? And I wonder a lot of times, are they getting on my nerves because I want them to be a certain way and I'm resisting the way it is that they're choosing to show up in the world? Especially if it's not detrimental. It's not anything that's harmful. It's just probably something new or something that I didn't plan for or a way that's different than I wanted it to be. And I'm resisting against them, telling them basically, no, do it my way. And they're giving me pushback. Basically saying, Mom, man, why can't I do it this way? Mom, let me do it this way, right? And it may be getting on my nerves. But the reality is my contribution to that is rigidity. My contribution to that is not allowing them the flexibility to grow and show up in this world how they choose to show up in this world. Yet I'm constantly telling them to be yourself, to don't be afraid to stand out, to speak up for yourself. But when given the opportunity and looking to speak up for themselves with their own mother, not in a disrespectful way, not in a way that, again, is detrimental, harmful, or rude, but just in a way that is different than I envisioned it, then I give resistance. And that is contributing to me and why they're getting on my nerves, right? But I have to own that. And I have to be willing to say and take a deep breath and look back and take a deep breath and look at myself and say, Sherilyn, you're doing this to you. Why can't they do that? When you were a teenager, you wanted to be seen in a way that you wanted to show up in the world in a way that you wanted to show up. You can understand this. This isn't anything that's foreign. Sometimes we just assert our authority just to assert our authority because we can, because we're grown, because I'm the mama, blah, 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 right? And that really many times serves no one, including you. It's just a headache, a heartache, right? All of that. So it's crazy. So I really want you to think about that even in your personal lives. And that's just an example with the teenager. Kelly, let me see. You said my daughter takes forever doing everything. She moves so slow, drives me insane. Listen, first of all, coming from a slow person, leave her alone. But secondly, I absolutely get it, right? I have multiple children. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club, Kelly. Because now you are a mom of multiples, and it's going to be so different. But I'm a mom of multiples, so I have things moving on all fronts. I'm constantly multitasking with kids. This kid, you do this. This kid, you should be there. This child, you should be doing this, right? Okay, with that being said, I have one pokey, right? And with my pokey oldest, because it's my oldest pumpkin, with my pokey oldest, I used to tell her all the time, I literally used to tell her, here's what time you need to be ready. because I went through the, come on, you taking so long, da da da. And I realized I was upsetting her. I was all hyped up and all of this kind of stuff. And I said, Sherilyn, you can do differently, right? Because it all really led back to me. And I said, Sherilyn, this is what you're going to do. You're going to let her know what time she's going to be ready. And then we are leaving at that time. It doesn't matter to me what she looks like. Now, let me put this sidebar on there. I'm not that mom who, you know how people say, have you ever heard a mom say, you're not going to do ... and embarrass me? I'm not that mom. You can't embarrass me in that way, right? Because I understand that we all have to do what we need to do. That's a whole nother talk for a whole nother day. But I'm just not that mom because I don't prescribe to many societal norms. I don't feel like I'm trying to get my kid to look a certain way or to act a certain way so that so that society won't look at them a certain way. You get to show up in this world how you choose to show up in this world. My only requirement is that it's clean and that you're clean, right? So when it comes to clothes, for example, let me give you an example so that you can follow my logic here. My middle daughter, she was my little eclectic being, you all. And when I say she could put on stripes, polka dots, plaid, and 17 different other colors, that didn't bother me. She felt so happy when she would get herself dressed looking like that. And I would go to the store quite happily with this happy child. And wherever else I needed to go. Now, sometimes I definitely dressed her in the way that I wanted, but I always allowed them at least one day during the week that they could get themselves dressed. It made them happy. I felt like, number one, I bought it. Number two, it made her happy. So why wouldn't I let her wear something that I bought? So I deemed it appropriate and that made her happy. Because somebody else would think that she was unkept or that she was unloved. That doesn't bother me. That's on them, not me. That's a reflection of how they think about themselves, not what it is that I'm actually doing. So I relinquish that, and that doesn't bother me. So anyway, that being said, so when I said, if at 12 o'clock we're leaving, at 12 o'clock you can have on one shoe. That's your problem, not mine. We're out of here. We're out of this door. But I got good news. I keep emergency shoes, for example, in my trunk. I keep emergency clothes, underclothes, hair stuff in the car for my kids, and now they're halfway grown. I still do that. You can put on those shoes. I don't care if it doesn't go with what you have. You had an opportunity to get ready. You decided because you knew what time we were going. I told you what time, and I even have more, you all, because I'm about my contribution. Guess what? I also would let them know a countdown. We have 10 minutes left. We have 5 minutes left. We have 2 minutes. 1 minute. It's time to get out the door, right? And you're getting out of the door. That means when you headed to school. That means it doesn't matter to me. None of that I'm attached to. I am attached to you being out of that house at 12 o'clock, just like I said. So that being said, that helped me a lot because what they ultimately begin to think is, Mama is crazy. Probably. They never said that, but that's probably about what they thought. I'm okay with that. All I know is she started being ready. She started being ready, and that worked for me. I stopped hooping and hollering, as my mother would call it when we were growing up. I stopped hollering. I stopped getting frustrated. It's just what it is, and it's what will happen. So I stayed true to my word. At 12 o'clock, we were out that door. So I hope that helps you. I don't care if you're laughing at me, Kelly. Judge me. Do whatever you need to do, but it worked. So you may want to try that with your pumpkin. Good luck now that you have multiples, because it's going to be a balancing act getting out at the time you want. But whatever time you set, just let her know and go from there. So anyway, you all, I have to get out of here on to my next appointment. I just want to encourage you to look at your contribution to whatever situation it is that you experience. Take the blame off of other people. Do not blame. First of all, take the blame off of other people. You disempower yourself. Take the blame off of yourself. You shrink and shame yourself. Go ahead and look into and figure out what you contributed to a situation so that you can learn and do better and feel better. right? And take that knowledge into the future, and it translates into wisdom to create better experiences for yourself and the people you are engaging with, right? So I hope that helps you. Do invite somebody to join our page. We have a good time over here. Thank you so much for joining me live, Kelly, and everybody watching the replay. I appreciate you. Please do share this broadcast. Thank you so much. I will see you next time. But until we see each other again, remember, it's time to move beyond everyone else's expectations of who you ought to be and become the woman you thought that you could be. Bye.